Hey everyone, it's Elisa from AK Educational Consulting. And thank you for joining me on this journey through March, where we've been talking about conflict resolution and problem solving skills. If you've missed any videos, please go back and check out the previous ones, especially the last two, because we've been kind of working through the problem solving process. And we've talked about identifying and labeling our emotions. We've talked about how we can identify the source of a conflict and brainstorm solutions. And I want to end this little mini series with just a couple of things about perspective and communication in conflict resolution. So, in terms of perspective, and these are just things that we want to consider when we're working with kids and maybe help um, them to see and understand. And they're not going to get it the first time. These are kind of bigger picture items. So, in terms of perspective, helping them to think beyond this one incident. So, for instance, is this one argument with your best friend the end of the relationship? Or is this one little blip in the radar of a friendship that's going to span 30 years? Okay. Is this problem that you're experiencing right now going to impact the rest of your life? Are you going to remember it 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So helping them to gain some perspective, because obviously for kids, every problem is the end of the world, right? We can also help them build empathy by putting themselves in the other person's shoes, helping them to understand that sometimes when people do or say terrible things to us, it's not a reflection of us, it's a reflection of them and what they're experiencing. So, what might they be going through at home? What might they have heard people say to them that cause them to use those terrible words when talking to you? Um, this is a hard skill to learn. It's very hard for adults. It's no easier for kids. But looking at that and taking that perspective each time we have some sort of dispute is going to get them good at starting to think about things from another person's perspective. And then also just considering the context of the conflict, right? So, was there something else going on that really caused this to happen? For instance, um, the person that lashed out at you maybe is going through a really tough time and grieving. And so, in that moment, their anger or whatever emotion was directed at you, yes, but it wasn't really about you. Okay. So these are all just good things to help our kids gain a little bit of perspective, and build some of those empathy skills. The other thing that we really want to work with kids on in terms of conflict resolution is their communication skills. How do we communicate during an argument? Okay, so number one, we use I feel statements because we can't argue with how somebody feels. So if I'm in an argument with somebody, I could say, you did this and this and this, and this is what happened. And typically, that other person is going to say, no, that's not how it happened, and get really defensive. But if I say, I felt so frustrated when you weren't listening to me. And then it made me feel angry because I felt like you didn't care about what I had to say. That's really hard to get defensive about. And yes, they could say, well, I was listening, but we keep bringing it back to the I feel. Okay, well, from my perspective, it didn't seem like you were listening and it made me feel frustrated and then angry. So we stick with using I feel statements. And a key component of this is role playing with kids, practicing with kids, right? Modeling for kids. The more they hear us saying it, doing it, they start to pick up on those things. The other piece of communication that we need to work with kids on is apologizing. And the number one way we can do this, also modeling. I apologize all the time to my kids. Man, I really messed that up. I did not handle that the way that I should have. I'm sorry, and I will try to do better next time. We need to teach kids exactly how to apologize. And sometimes they're too embarrassed to. And we've all been in those situations, right? Where you think, I need to apologize, but this is so embarrassing because I acted so ridiculously or whatever. But how do we genuinely apologize to somebody? We need to teach that to kids. We need to model that for kids. So hopefully this has kind of gotten you thinking about perspective and communication in terms of conflict resolution. I hope that you will join me back here next time. We've got just a couple more videos before we round out this monthly theme for March. And if you missed any, please go back and watch the previous videos and don't forget to join me back here next time.